So this video was going to start with me bragging about still having to get my PS3 and maybe showing a little bit of gameplay, but my PlayStation 3 won't turn on, and I know what's wrong with it, but I don't have the tools on me to fix it right now, so just take my word for it. Anyways, 100%ing games. It's a fun little thing I've been doing recently. When I was younger, I was content with just beating a game, seeing the final boss, seeing the last cutscene, but nowadays, I want to squeeze every last drop of content out of the games I play. Most of the times, I'll only do this with games that I find worthy of 100%ing, but sometimes, if I get far enough in the game that I still just find okay, I'll finish it off anyways, just because I need something to do, and because I really enjoy the feeling of 100%ing game. Today, we'll be talking about a game that holds a special place for me. I wouldn't call it one of the best games ever or anything, right? But it is one of my personal favorite games because I grew up with it. As you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, and how I low-key had to force myself to 100% the game. This is going to be like a new series in between actual larger scale challenges. I've always wanted to do stuff like this on my channel, and it's kind of the perfect time because in order to keep my channel from staying stagnant as I gather up ideas for larger scale challenges and build up time in between challenges so I don't end up doing games in the same series back to back, I need something to talk about, and because 100%ing games has become a hobby of mine, why not add this to the list? From the title, you can tell this video isn't going to be all praise, but without further delay, let's talk about how I 100% Scott Pilgrim so you don't have to. So with all that said, what exactly are the requirements for 100%ing this game? First thing I want to go over is I'm playing on the Switch version, so there's no achievements. If I had my PS3 working, I would definitely do achievements. Maybe I'll get it working in the future and we can like do a follow-up video of getting all the achievements. Like I'll start a new account and do all that. But today we're just going to be 100% in the game, in-game, no external achievements or nothing like that. So if that's the case, then what are the requirements for 100%ing this game? Unlock the radio tower, beat the game with every character, get every character to level 16, max all their stats out, unlock Mega Scott, and unlock Mr. Chow as an assist with every character. Now, you may be saying, this doesn't sound too difficult. Haha, wrong. Well, actually, it isn't that difficult, so correct, I guess? I don't know. Yeah, 100%ing this game is not a difficult task at all. Like, I'm not even going to act like it is, but it's the sheer monotony of doing it that makes it difficult. To really put it into perspective, you have to do all the things I just listed, except for the radio tower, that's universal. But you have to do everything that I just listed with 8 separate characters. One of which is a complete clone, and 2 of which can only be classified as fucking Echo Fighters. This is not to mention the fact that most characters don't play too different. Their basic moves are kinda different, you know. Couple of small hitbox differences and moves stringed slightly differently into different moves, and every character has 2 special moves, and then we talk about Ramona, who has a 3rd special move, which is cool. But aside from that, the game runs pretty much the same no matter what character you're playing, and because you don't get those special moves until the back half of the game, it doesn't really change up the gameplay that much at all. So you're basically playing the exact same game 8 times with 8 very similar playing characters, and you have to do all the 100% requirements, and it can get very, very boring. Matter of fact, this is a game that should have only took me about like a week because it's super short. It ended up taking me like half a year. The reason being for it taking that long is that I just got bored. The game got tedious, monotonous, like I said earlier, so I just stopped playing. I had to detox from the game in order to finish it. So a quick word of advice before we actually get into it. If you're going to 100% in this game, either go all in or do it in chunks. Do like 2 characters at a time, you know. That's basically the best I can give you. And that's if you want to 100% in this game. But with all that being said, let's get into how I actually did it in the overall method. Okay, so now that I've ranted about the characters and listed off all the requirements, let's talk about how I did it and what your first objective should be. The first thing I want to say is it really doesn't matter what character you start with, it's really personal preference. But your first objective should be getting a character maxed out. Get your first character to level 16 and beat the game with them. And while you're at it, make sure you max out their stats. Speaking of which, we have to go over how you level up and how you gain stats in the first place. So obviously, like most games, you have to gain XP to level up, but in this game it's slightly different. You don't gain XP from defeating enemies. The XP in this game is actually the damage you deal to enemies. So whenever you see the damage numbers pop up on enemies' heads, when you attack them, that's the experience you're gaining. Also, unlike most games, these level ups do not affect your stats whatsoever. When you level up, the only thing that happens is you get more moves. There's a long list of moves and you have to level up to unlock all of those moves. Now, the first 15 of those moves are moves that everyone has, and then the last move is going to be the special move, and there's going to be a move below that you have to unlock later by purchasing it. So, if leveling up doesn't increase your stats, how do you increase your stats in this game? Well, you buy them, of course. The first level has the shopping district, and this is where you're going to get most of your good stats. Now, every single level in the game has some sort of shop, and you can gain stats throughout the game by just randomly buying stuff, and then even if you don't read what it does, you're just going to be getting stats because almost everything gives you at least like +1 or plus something to your stats. But the shopping district is what you want to focus on the most. The place you'll be finding all your good stat ups won't be from the small food shops that happen to give you slight stat boosts. The best spot is Wallace's shop. Oh, why the fuck is everything so expensive? Yeah, don't use Wallace's secret shop, he will rob you. Instead, you should go to no account video. Oh, what the So if you didn't gather already, you're going to need a lot of money to max out every single character. But there's a good way to do that, and I'm going to show you how right now. So what you want to do is play the game all the way up to level 5. And once you play up to level 5, that's when you start grinding. Almost every level has a subspace highway. They give you a lot of money, but most of them are too far into the level for it to matter. Unlike level 5, where the subspace highway is literally at the very start of the level. Basically, all you want to do here, go in, hit the Mario-esque money blocks, and then once you've cleared all of them, just leave the level. Then when you come back in, you do it again and again and again until you have around 600 coins. After that, you go to the no account video store, you pay Scott's late fee, and now you have stats up galore. You can just do whatever you want from here. Make sure you read all the stats. What I recommend doing is just buy 10 7 Shaolin monks and you'll have your max stats in no time. Also, yes, I know about the noble sacrifice exploit, but if you want to do things without exploits and actually play the game, then this is the way I recommend doing it. Now, if you don't care about exploits, then go to town. I just wanted to explain the way I did it, you know? After that, you just go to the secret shop in level 6, get your last secret move, and now your first character is complete. Now that you're level 16, now that you have max stats, all you have to do is go beat Gideon, and then you have to do it again with all the other characters in the game. So at this point in time, you're going to be like, okay, I'm bored, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore. So we're going to start using exploits, but this one is slightly different. Just to be clear, nothing carries over. Once you beat the game with one character, their stats, their money is stuck on that character, unless you decide to transfer it over. Well, the money, not the stats. By the time you finish your first character, you should have enough money saved up to clear another late fee. But how do you give your other character that late fee money? They don't carry over, so you have to pay it again. Well, you just give them the money. This exploit, or whatever you want to call it, usually isn't that easy because it requires you to own 2 controllers. But because we're playing on the Switch version, 2 controllers are already packed into the console. So here's the method. If your first character doesn't have enough money for their next late fee, just go ahead and go grind with that character and then come back when you're done. After you grinded enough money to get the next late fee paid, just quit. Make sure you have all the money, make sure you're saved, and quit. Then you're going to want to start up the next character. When you start up this next character, just beat the first level. Don't worry about anything else, just beat the first level. Once you beat the first level, let's go back to the main select screen and make sure that you select your first character, and with the second controller, make sure your second character is the character you beat the game with the first time. When you load into the shopping district, go straight to no account video, and you're going to see at the top of the screen when you have 2 players, you can lend money to each other. Use your character with all the cash and just give them your money. Once they're loaded, you pay off the late fee and you max out your stats. Now you should be max stats at like what, level 2, 3, 4? And you're going to level up really fast because again, XP is based on how much damage you do. If you have max damage before the second level, you're going to be leveling up like crazy. And this is how you beat the game. This is the cycle. Build up money, transfer the money to your next character after you beat the game with the first character, and repeat until you're done. Again, it's not difficult to 100% this game, but it is very, very monotonous. The game is just going to be a breeze from here on out with every single character, and not much is going to change. You know where every enemy spawns, you know where every subspace highway is, you know where every shop is, you know all the strats of the game. There is nothing new that you're going to experience playing with these new characters. So, after you've done all that, you realize you have to unlock Mega Scott, which is easy. Just do all of this, but with Scott, Ramona, Stills, and Kimmy, you unlock Mega Scott. You unlock Mega Scott. He'll probably be your most fun playthrough, but then after you beat the game with Mega Scott, then you realize you have to beat the game with Knives and Wallace, and this is where a big problem comes in. Okay, I feel so strongly about this. It has to be a whole mini segment. I have to rant about this for 1 second because Knives and Wallace piss me off. First off, Knives is just a reskin of Kim. The only difference that Knives has compared to Kim is that their support character is different and Knives' support character isn't even good. And then, I'm not gonna lie, Knives has 2 special moves. One of them sucks, it's just a flip kick, and the other one is so cool that I almost want to give her an excuse like, look at this. But we cannot excuse the fact that this is literally a clone character and you have to replay through the entire game and you don't get that special move until the very end of the game. So now we gotta get on Wallace. He is a complete carbon copy of Stills. Down from the sprite, you can see that it was just traced over and given a slightly different face and slightly different colors. Then, every single move, including the special moves you unlock at the end of the game, are the exact same. The only differences these characters have are a couple of animations for winning, not even in-game, like in battle animations, like the win animations and like the ending cutscene. And the only other difference is that all of the moves on Stills that were red are now purple, and sometimes instead of purple, they will have a rainbow effect on them because it's Wallace. Now, this doesn't sound like that big a deal. You know, the game re-released, yada yada yada, but what people don't understand or might not understand now is that these 2 characters cost money back in the day and they were separate. So I had to pay for Knives, well, my mom had to pay for Knives when I was a kid, and then I had to pay for Wallace also, well, my mom had to pay for Wallace, but you get the point. Wallace, the excuse they probably wanted to give for him was he added the online functionality because the game didn't always have online functionality. But with the Wallace DLC pack, you get a new character in air quotes and you get to play with people online. For Knives, it literally was a clone character with 2 new moves and some achievements. Like they added extra achievements to your PlayStation achievement list. Like it was not worth it at all. And these 2 characters kind of pissed me off because it's just like, I just played with all these, I just played with these 2 characters basically. And now you want me to do it again for 100%. Like, no, like, come on, bro. I think they were like $15 each or $10 each. Hold on, let me do some research. Okay, after research that took a little too long to find because all of the articles came from like what, 2013? It wasn't that bad. Wallace costs $5 and Knives cost $1.99. So I guess it's not that bad, but at the same time, if I'm gonna be paying any money for characters, I don't want them to be clones, but let's just move on to the next set. So Alright, this one's another grind fest, but before we get to that, let's go over how you unlock the radio tower, because if anyone has been paying attention, I have not said shit about it since we mentioned it in the requirements. So, how do you unlock the radio tower? LLLRRRLR. Oh, that was pretty easy. Alright, now let's get to Mr. Chow. He will randomly show up after beating a level. Yeah. When you beat a level, he'll show up on the overworld sometimes, and then you fight him. When you fight him, you unlock him as a support character after you beat him. If you lose to him, he'll disappear and you have to do it again. Now, the boss fight isn't that difficult, but he does have a decent amount of HP, so if you go in there expecting to win at like less than 50 attack stat, it's gonna be a battle of attrition. You're going to sit there doing damage, he's gonna tank all that damage, and you're gonna just basically have to survive. Now, his attack patterns aren't that bad, so it's not that big of a deal. You just have to make sure you're good enough to dodge them, and they're pretty telegraphed, so you'll be alright. The best strategy for making him spawn is to beat a level, and then after you beat that level and get sent back to the overworld, make sure the game is saved. You'll see the autosave logo in the corner, but after the game is saved, just exit the main menu, then enter again, look around the map, and then keep doing that on repeat until he shows up. It's not that bad. Make sure, however, you keep track of how many characters you've beaten him with yourself. The game does not have a tracker for how many times or what character you've beaten Mr. Chow with, and Mr. Chow can respawn even if you have him unlocked as a support, so you'll have to take mental note or just write it down somewhere if you've gotten him with this character yet. And with that out of the way, you have officially 100% Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Congratulations! Okay, let's get to these closing thoughts. So, as I said earlier, this game took me around 5-6 months to 100%. And again, it's just because I got bored of it. Even when you learn everything there is to know about the game, when you get fully acquainted with it, when you become an expert at it, when you start playing on Supreme Master Mode and Rough and Tough instead of Average Joe, the game just simply gets boring. It's a classic beat 'em up that you were meant to play on the couch with your friends or play online in a Discord call with your friends. Not a game you were meant to just sit around and play by yourself for hours and 100% without any assistance. You know, when I was a kid, I basically 100% the game already. I don't think when I was a kid I did all the Mr. Chow stuff, but I did get every character to level 16 with max stats. Now, the only difference between that time and now is I was a kid in elementary school. My attention span for playing the same game over and over again was a lot stronger. It's different now. There's a lot of games to play. Back then, I only had a PS3, a Wii, and a DS, and I wasn't a pirate like I am now. So I didn't have access to as many games as I do now. Now I have a full computer, and I have every console under the fucking sun. So I can play whatever I want. Back then I couldn't, so I was stuck playing this game over and over again until I eventually wanted to go back and play Little Big Planet 2. All that said to get to this. If you aren't an insane completionist, no relation, then I don't really see a reason to 100% this game. You're going to play it, you're going to enjoy maybe your first 2 playthroughs, and then you're going to get bored, and you're going to have the detox from the game because the entire cycle of the game is just classic old school beat 'em up with that, not that much variety. But it's a novel concept of a game, so you can't really be mad at it. So yeah, put this game on your list if you want. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on 100%ing Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. You know, YouTube outro stuff, leave a comment, like, subscribe, check out the Discord server, you know, all that good stuff. Oh, and thank you all so much for 500 subs. In the grand scheme of things, it's not much, you know. But for me personally, the fact that 500 people found my content enjoyable enough to leave a subscribe, it feels kind of wild. And I really didn't expect anything like that to happen. So I really want to say thank you. But I'm rambling now. I've been the Kruma, and I'll see you whenever the next video drops.